Hello everyone, ex-Walk Hill Bethelite here. And we want to talk about something that I'm sure is a big question for most people. And that is why Jehovah's Witnesses don't leave Watchtower. It doesn't seem like it matters if there is a prediction that the end of the world may occur sometime in 1975, and then we're in 2024, and it's a huge swing and a miss. It doesn't seem to matter if over the course of probably near 100 years, there was a rule where men could not have beards and hold positions of importance, such as elder, ministerial servant, and the such. And now all of a sudden it's okay to have beards. That 100-year tradition is just completely gone at the snap of a finger. It doesn't seem to matter what the rules are or what is changed. There's a rumor. Now, we don't know if this is true or not, but there's a rumor that there might be a change even with holidays, where a person may be able to celebrate a birthday, and as long as they don't have candles or things that Jehovah's Witnesses feel is pagan as a part of that celebration, they may be able to have the celebration itself. However, if they make that change over the course of probably 100 years of the organization, the problem with birthdays was not just candles, blowing them out, and where it came from, and is it pagan. Birthdays were a day of importance, and Watchtower or Jehovah's Witnesses viewed it as worship. You're worshiping the person. You know, if everybody is putting all their attention on one person because it's their birthday, you're worshiping them. So if they make that change, it'll be interesting. But one thing seems to be for certain, and that is that Watchtower can change pretty much any of its policies, pretty much any of its rules, change hourly requirements for pioneering, auxiliary pioneering, what have you. None of it tends to affect whether or not a Jehovah's Witness will actually stay or not. So to better understand that, why is that? Why is that? With Jehovah's Witnesses, they tend to stay, whereas if the Baptist church down the street changes everything about the church, members might start leaving. They may have quite a few people leave. Well, to better understand that, I go back to my days at Bethel, when I was at Walk Hill Bethel. Because for me back then, I wasn't aware of the doctrinal changes. I think that was back probably before they changed the overlapping generations. The end of the world will happen before the generation of 1914, another prediction that they had. I think that was even before they changed that. So that was before I was really aware of many doctrinal changes. But when I was at Bethel, I saw a lot of behavioral and conduct issues. So it wasn't the doctrine being changed and flip-flopped as much as it was the conduct not fitting the doctrine, not fitting what I've been told about Bethel my entire life. So why is it that once I get to Bethel and I see racism, people constantly making racial comments, racial jokes, I see men who seem to have some sort of a sexual interest in me. That was quite prevalent. That was quite prevalent. I've mentioned the guy who was trying to, get me out to go to cabins that they have that you can sign up, and you've got the cabins to yourself. Well, there's people that try to get the boys at Bethel to come with them to the cabins. There was a guy that had me over his room, and I'm just there to be social, make friends, and he's talking about, well, we can lay on the floor, and like, why can't we just sit on the couch? Why we gotta lay down on the floor? Like, talking about his roommate's not there, and his roommate's not going to be there for such and such time. And, I mean, when you see so much, why did I stay at Bethel? Well, I can explain that, and I think in explaining that, we may start to understand Jehovah's Witnesses a little bit more, because Jehovah's Witnesses, it's not viewed as a church. It's viewed as an organization, and that part is huge, because a person can go to another church. They don't lose anything. A Baptist can go to the First Baptist Church on the corner, and if there's something going on there that they don't agree with, then they can go to the First Baptist Church 15 minutes the other direction. They don't lose anything. They don't. The only difference are the people that are attending that other church, but with an organization that is different. Consider this. Consider if you were working for Microsoft. You are an employee of Microsoft. That's an organization. Your concept and your view is completely different being a part of an organization versus being a part of a church. If you were to leave, if there's something going on at Microsoft and you don't agree with it, if you were to leave Microsoft, because it's an organization and is structured as such, you would be losing seniority. What if you've been there 10 years? You'd be losing seniority wherever you go, whichever other organization, you're typically starting all the way over with your seniority. What about your title, whatever your position is? What if you're a supervisor with Microsoft? You're going to leave if there's something going on and you don't quite agree with, or there's some changes, or they got something completely wrong, the company got something completely wrong? No. You are more likely to stay with an organization versus a church, because there's churches everywhere and you can be a layman anywhere. You can go to any church. I can go to any church and my status is the same. You're a layman. You sit, you enjoy the service, the Sunday service. They may have Bible study and they may have activities, and you're free to join those activities. I can go to any church and do that. But with Jehovah's Witnesses, you have to understand, this is an organization. They don't even call themselves a church. It's an organization, and there's a concept of seniority. I've been a part of this organization for X amount of years, 20 years, 30 years. Now, if I leave, I don't have the same seniority at the Baptist church, at the Pentecostal church, at the Catholic church. I'm a ministerial servant, or I'm an elder. I have a title, a position. When I go into a Kingdom Hall, I have a set job as a part of that organization. If I leave and I go to the Baptist church, I don't have those responsibilities. If I go to the Catholic church, I don't have those responsibilities. I could obtain them, but it would require starting over. I'll probably have to go to college. I may have to get a degree, if I wanted to have a position in the Catholic Church or in the Catholic organization. So that's huge. That's huge when it comes to Jehovah's Witnesses. Now, that in and of itself wasn't the main reason I stayed at Bethel. It was a contributing factor when you're talking about Jehovah's Witnesses in general, but me in specific, it's a concept of another difference between an organization and a church. So, for example, if I go to a Catholic church down the street, I don't feel like I am a part of the Catholic priesthood. When you're talking about bishops, when you're talking about people like that, it's the lay people and it's them. There's a gap there. There's a gap. Then you got the lay people on one side, and then you have the people who are ordained priests and all of that, and you're not even thinking about becoming that, because that's taking a lot of schooling and everything else. Well, with Watchtower, and that's probably the same at Baptist churches, you got your pastors and then you got your lay people, and the two are completely separate. There's no real connection of any lay person is going to be up on the stage giving your Sunday sermon. That's typically not the case. But with Jehovah's Witnesses, you feel more a part of the higher class of the organization, so to speak. The people, your regular lay people, are the people who are totally in charge of your services, your Sunday services, the people who read the Watchtower, just a lay person out of the crowd who has accumulated a certain amount of seniority and probably a title, and you feel that if there's something going on with the organization, that you can change it as a part of the hierarchy of that organization. So, for example, if you're working at a company and you're, what they call a peon in the company, you're lower lower on the totem pole, and there's something going on in the company that you don't like, it's a me versus them type of a situation. They, upper management, is doing such and such, and I don't like it. There isn't a we are doing that. So let's say they change the way vacations are done. Before, you could take a lot of vacations. Now it's harder for you to take vacations. You don't like the way upper management changed that. You might leave. But if you were a part of upper management, you're less likely to leave because you feel we made that change. I was a part of that, and I can change that if it's something I don't like. That's the case with Jehovah's Witnesses. So you had Marcus here, me, a new Bethelite. And because this isn't a church that has your lay people that's totally separate from the people who are in charge, the people who run things, because there's no separation, Marcus felt a part of everything. With Jehovah's Witnesses, when a Bethelite, a person who works at Bethel, and I don't care if they've only been at Bethel 6 months. They don't even have very much seniority at Bethel. They don't really have, they're not a Bethel elder, they're none of that. If a person from Bethel, up there in New York, decides they want to go and visit their family, maybe the congregation that they used to attend before they went to New York and Bethel, when they go to visit, Oh, it is as if an angel from heaven has come to visit. Now, there's a reason for that. Because people view anybody, in just any old body, that is working at Bethel as very much a part of the organization. They don't view you as separate from the governing body, from the branch. There's no separation. There's no, I am in my place, and my place is not the governing body, not the branch, not any of that stuff. There's a connection because with Jehovah's Witnesses, anybody could wind up in any position. So me, as a new Bethelite coming to Bethel, when I'm seeing all these things going on, I'm seeing racism, I'm seeing all kind of sexual stuff, I'm feeling like, well, I'll just work towards helping change it. I may end up in a position of authority where I'm able to change policies so that these things don't go on. So I'm just going to observe the issues, figure out why they are issues, and then help work towards changing those issues. That's huge because your typical churchgoer doesn't think that they can change the whole organization of their church. They're just a lay person. If there's something going on with the pastor, they're going to a different church. With Jehovah's Witnesses, one of the reasons why you got a lot of people that leave, but then you end up with a lot of people that stay. One of the reasons why is because the structure of Jehovah's Witnesses is the structure of an organization that you don't need any kind of college to move up the ranks. The requirements are essentially just seniority and keeping a good record of attendance and participation. But outside of that, sky's the limit. So when there are things that get changed, a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses feel like they'll say the word, we change such and such, or well, we don't think this way anymore. We have progressed into thinking this. There is a feeling of being a part of the decision making. Just your everyday Jehovah's Witness. There's a feeling of being a part of the decision making, being a part of the organization, being a part of the history of everything. So they almost feel like we all made the mistake. They don't feel like the governing body, they screwed up. They don't feel that way. They feel we screwed up and we're doing better now. We're trying harder now to fix everything. It's like a management group, and every person in the company is a part of management. Well, you ain't losing too many of them people. Not unless something major happens and they really, really disagree, or there's something that really makes them uncomfortable. If you have a company and you are concerned with turnover, a lot of people leaving, make everybody a member of management. Ain't nobody leaving because your average person knows it's going to take a lot of work for them to get that same position somewhere else. And that's the truth with Jehovah's Witnesses. There's a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses, if they were to go to the Baptist church, they're going to want to teach something, whether it be Sunday school, They want to be involved because they felt involved with everything when it came to Watchtower. That's a huge part of all of this. When you had the Australian Royal Commission, when they were investigating Jehovah's Witnesses in regards to the sexual abuse of children, there are some people that felt so strongly about that they were so uncomfortable that they had to leave. Sometimes it takes something major to get a Jehovah's Witness to leave. Well, what would it take to get somebody to leave Microsoft? An organization, a company that is all around the world, and there's a feeling of importance with that, especially if they're part of management. What would it take? Would it take Microsoft just getting something wrong? No, because they feel like they're part of what will fix it. It would take something major that made them feel extremely uncomfortable to want to leave and in their mind lose all their seniority that they built up at Microsoft. Once you really start making the connection between Jehovah's Witnesses and a company, you then start to understand a whole lot more as to why people stay. They don't want to lose seniority. They don't want to lose their position. They don't have to start all over somewhere else. Whereas most Christians, they're going to church to feel close to God. They're not going to church to try to move up in an organization or to feel a part of an organization. They're going to church, they're going to clap, they're going to express how they feel about God, and then they're going to go home. They don't feel like they're a part of the organization so per se as a Christian that's there to worship God. With Jehovah's Witnesses, they almost had to change the name to the Christian Congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses. Do you remember that? There's a reason why these things happen. It's because they weren't even considered Christian. They were just, they're part of an organization. We're an organization. We make books and magazines and we distribute those things, and we have almost like sales meetings as to how we can be more effective in going out and doing that. Christian, they almost didn't know what that was. So then they end up changing the name to the Christian Congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses. They had to throw that in there. There aren't too many other churches that need to do that. Baptists don't need to change the name to the Christian Baptist Church. Why? Because we were all thinking we were all CEOs of an organization. We weren't thinking about being Christian. We got to put the name on it so that people will identify us as such. These are huge clues as to the reason why there are people that find out that there are teachings and those teachings were not correct, and they still stay. Why? Because they trust themselves and they feel like they are honest-hearted, and they feel like they have a certain level of control. Essentially, they feel like they're in management, or could easily become in management if they stay and get enough seniority with Watchtower, and that they could help fix it. And that's how I felt at Bethel, that I can help fix it. I'm here to see all this so that I can work towards making the improvements. As I progress, I can make improvements. So right now, it's just about observing everything. There wasn't even the concept of leaving Bethel when I was there. There wasn't even a concept of leaving. There was a concept of changing it, of improving it. But the thought of leaving wasn't even in my vocabulary at Bethel when I went, because that's the mindset. So if I had that mindset, there's a good possibility that other people do as well. And unless something happens that makes them extremely uncomfortable with the company of Watchtower, the organization of Watchtower that they feel a part of, that organization. That's why when you hear them talking about, oh, we have literature in all these different languages. You don't hear a Catholic bragging about how they have a church in every country. What does that have to do with them? Of course they have a church in every country. Of course they have material in different languages. What does it have to do with the Catholic? With the Jehovah's Witness, this is a bragging point because they feel a part of the organization that's printing all of these things. They feel we have magazines in almost every language. We have done this. Don't you feel impressed? This little company that I'm a part of did all of this. It's the same as if you were working for a small company and this company had facilities everywhere all around the world. You would feel a certain level of accomplishment if you were, especially in management. You're a part of all this. Look at what we have done as a company. That's the case with Jehovah's Witnesses and Watchtower. So sometimes people confuse Jehovah's Witnesses with church members. Why wouldn't a church member just leave? And it's not just the shunning. Shunning is a part of it also. But it's not just the shunning. It's the feeling of being a part. This is the key, a part of the whole organization. You're a part of the whole organization. And your job, your actual employment, where you make money, typically with Jehovah's Witnesses, is just to support your work that you do as a part of Watchtower's organization. Whereas for a Baptist, your job is typically your career. That's what you focus on. You go to church to worship God. It's the opposite with Jehovah's Witnesses. Your job is just something to help you pay bills. Your career is with the organization of Watchtower. So just how I felt about Bethel, that's how a lot of people feel about Watchtower as a whole. That's their career. That's what they do. Their job is just something that supports what they do because they're not getting paid for what they do, but they feel a lot stronger that their career is with Watchtower. They don't want to end their career unless there's something major that they don't feel can be fixed. So with these doctrinal falsehoods, essentially, because those were changed eventually, even though they were wrong, once they change them, they feel, okay, we have gotten better then. So that's one of the reasons why. And then also with the shunning, there are plenty of Christians that if they have a relative and their relative is involved with something that the church does not look too highly upon, there are plenty of Christians that fully know that my relative is involved with such and such. The church doesn't approve. I don't approve. But it don't change the fact that we're relatives, and it doesn't change the fact that I should show love to this person. Well, there's a difference with Watchtower. Watchtower is an organization, a company. What if something makes you look bad in front of the company? You need to separate yourself from it because you're trying to move up. See, a Christian is just trying to be a Christian. They're trying to get right with God. A Jehovah's Witness is trying to move up. They're trying to be a part of an organization. They're trying to have a good reputation as a part of that organization. So if they've got a relative and this relative is involved with such and such, they want to feel like they are no part of it at all what they were involved with. They don't want the organization to look bad that they're so proud of, that they're a part of. So it's more likely that a Jehovah's Witness whose son or daughter doesn't want to be a part of the organization, or there's something going on that doesn't quite make them look good, that they might shun them, that they may just stop talking to them, and in that way feel that they're showing more loyalty to their company, their organization. They're showing loyalty to the company, and the company may look highly upon something like that. So in understanding Jehovah's Witnesses, we have to understand that it's a organization, it's a company. You're trying to essentially get someone to leave something that they view as being like Microsoft, not just getting a person to leave a church and go to another one. So thinking in those lines can help. And understanding that may help a person understand why they just showed their relative where Watchtower got something incorrect. And the relative understands that Watchtower got something incorrect, but the relative don't want to talk about it. Why? Because they feel it's an attack on them. If I show someone who is a Baptist where their pastor got something wrong, oh, they'll look at it. They may even agree. They may even call the pastor up and say, hey, you got to tighten up. You know what I mean? Like, what in the world? You got this wrong. We're going to go somewhere else if y'all keep this up. With a Jehovah's Witness, they feel they're a part of the organization. So an attack on the organization or scrutiny of the organization is scrutiny of them. Oh, crap. Yeah, we did get this wrong. I don't feel comfortable talking about this. A lot of people feel a little less comfortable when they're being scrutinized or something's being pointed out about them that they're not doing correctly or doing wrong, or they're not that good at. People feel a little uncomfortable. Well, when a person is pointing something out about Watchtower to a Jehovah's Witness, you're pointing out, that's my company. I work there. I stand by this cart in the hot sun. This is my company you're talking about. You're essentially talking about me. So they view it to a certain extent as an attack. And even if it's wrong, it's such a huge jump for them to leave their freaking company of Watchtower that they've been a part of, lose all that seniority. They don't even want to talk about that. So comment down below. Let me know what you think. Let me know if this is how you think Jehovah's Witnesses view Watchtower. Do you think they view it more of a church? Do you think they attend more so to worship God, or attend because they feel a part of a organization, company, and this company's all around the world and they can acquire positions. They don't need no schooling or training to get those positions, and they feel like they can move right on up the ladder, give public talks, do all kinds of stuff. And they feel connected in that way. They feel it's interactive in that way. And therefore they view attacks on it as an attack on them and their position that they've acquired and all the seniority that they've built up. Comment down below. Let me know what you think. X Walkill Bethelite signing out.